So without delay, we're going to have our opening. Oh, and just so everyone knows, this is being streamed live on YouTube. In case you have any concerns, just please remember we're streaming live on YouTube. And if you're not comfortable with your video showing, and you can be sure to invite your friends or let anyone know that they can join us through other platforms like the YouTube. We're here and available, and we would love to have more people join in the conversation. So at this time, we're going to have Caden pray for us.
All right, thank you. Please bow your head and close your eyes. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for bringing us back here again so that we may worship you. I thank you for everything that you do for me, myself, personally, and everybody in this chat, everybody around the world. I hope that you'll bless us and help us to learn more about the topic today, which is the effects of social media and family. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Hello, I am your scripture reading, and we will be reading Colossians 3, verse 8 to 14. But now you yourselves are to put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy language out of your mouth. Do not lie to one another, since you have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, who is renewed in knowledge according to the image of him who created him, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcised nor uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long suffering, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. If anyone has a complaint against another, even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. But above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. Here ends the reading of your word.
Thank you, Rochelle. Kinda, did you have anything else you wanted to say before I jump into our Black History moment?
No. Well, next Sabbath, we will be having a special presentation for AY in terms of Black history, and we're going to have a special presentation by Brother Glenn Wilson himself, and we will have some other features for that AY. So we would love if everyone will join us at 4 p.m. next week is the last day for Black History Month. And, you know, it's our way now of doing something in recognition of this month. So if everyone could join us next Sabbath at 4 p.m., that would be great.
Awesome, awesome. And thanks for everyone who is on Zoom or on YouTube. Thank you for coming back if you've been with us for this morning and yesterday. And if you're just joining us for the first time this weekend, we're glad you're here. Again, if you have a friend, a cousin, a neighbor, or somebody you usually connect with on social media, go ahead and Snapchat them. I don't even know how to say the word properly. Snapchat, tweet, do whatever you got to do to get the word out that we have something that will be of interest and that is relevant going on for AY here at Malton today. It's also Black History Month. So we want to have a little Black History Month moment where we are tying Black history and Adventist history together. And, you know, the topic of social media sometimes has a lot of negative threads to it in terms of the not so nice stuff that people say or post, or how people use it to control others and put down others. But we're going to show this video, and I'm going to try and put the link in the chat. If you're on YouTube, we'll try and put the link in the information box as well, because there's great use for social media in our lives. And one way is sharing information that is factual and that is relevant. And so take a look at this video that's coming up, and what you can do if you're interested and so inclined, it's something that you can actually share. You can share with others to spread the good news of the gospel and just to educate ourselves about our history. So now we'll watch the video, and then thereafter, we're also going to hear from some people who are going to talk about how social media has impacted their life personally and or their family life. So we'll watch the video and then we'll hear some testimonies, and then we'll ease right into Pastor Liz's presentation.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch.
At the time we restored this house, William J. Hardy was thought to be the first Black or African-American Adventist. I think there's one other earlier person that may have been discovered since that was an earlier African-American who joined the church. But William Hardy never lived in Battle Creek. He lived up near Grand Rapids, Michigan. But we decided that because of the significance of African-Americans in the history of the church in North America especially, and James Edson White and his work on the Morning Star, that we wanted to have an exhibit that focused on the contributions and the history of African Americans, Seventh-day Adventists. And so William J. Hardy was the natural person, because at that point, at least, we thought he was the very earliest to join the church, about 1857 or 8. And he also is significant in the state of Michigan because he is listed, I mean, historically, nothing to do with the Adventist Church. He is said to be the first African American in the state of Michigan to serve in to be elected to a public office. He was a selectman for his town. And his son is recorded as having been the first African American to graduate from high school in Michigan, the state of Michigan, and they were Adventists. So, and he was he took a prominent role on meetings and stuff. So the house that the exhibit is in was actually owned originally by a lady whose father had brought her to Battle Creek when she was a young girl on what is known in American history as the Underground Railroad, which was people helping. I mean, there was no underground, there was no railroad, but people were helping slaves who were escaping from the South before the Civil War to go north, either to come to the northern states or clear on through to Canada. I think her name was Mrs. Tucker, if I remember. She lived in that house. She was not a Seventh-day Adventist, but she lived here. Her daughter lived here even longer. And the story is that her daughter would not do her laundry on Saturday because it was the Adventist Sabbath. And so we just decided that was the house to use. It was in the village. Let's feature the history of Black Adventism, including the Millerites, William Foy, and then the Hardy family. It's our acknowledgement of the role that African Americans have played in the history of the Adventist Church. I know that there were Quakers here in Battle Creek, which of course were very anti-slavery, pro-helping with the Underground Railroad, that kind of thing. Erastus Hussey was one of them. He sold us property for one of our institutions in the early days. And so there was this strong pro-abolitionist view, anti-slavery view here in Battle Creek. Sojourner Truth herself came and lived here for the last years of her life in Battle Creek. The Adventists felt comfortable here in Battle Creek. They felt accepted. Their views, I mean, they were anti-slavery, but their views also didn't mesh with everybody. They had Seventh-day Sabbath, for instance. But it was an accepting community, and including the various people that were very anti-slavery, pro-abolitionists prior to the Civil War.
Okay, at this time, I'm wondering if Sydney Wilson is on.
Hi.
Hi, Sydney. So Sydney's going to share with us now.
Okay. So social media has affected me through quarantine in so many different ways. It's been good, but it's also been bad for me. Like, I like to know what's going on with people and celebrities and the news and stuff like that. So social media has been there to like inform me and a lot of things with my favorite celebrity, what's going on in the United States, etc. But in COVID-19, we can't really see anybody, so we can't really see our friends. So social media has also like helped me connect with them and make new friends too, even, and like even connect with the old friends that I used to have. And I like on social media, the thing I like about it is when I'm watching a video, I can go to the comment section to see everyone else's opinion, to see if I'm like the only one or I also share their opinions. But it's also affected me in a negative way as well, because it's changed how I view a lot of things, and how it's changed how I view myself sometimes. Things on social media have become trends that aren't that good. And the first thing I do in the morning, I wake up to see if my favorite TikToker has posted instead of praying first. So it's also like changed it's also changed my relationship with God. And when I get bored, I go on social media instead of doing so many other creative things that I could possibly do. But it's also helped me want to learn more about God as well, by being influenced by other Christian influencers. And it's helped me read my Bible more and spend more time with God. So I'm really trying to like not spend so much more time on social media and like try focusing on God and reading more of the Bible.
Right. Thank you, Sydney. And, you know, I like what Sydney said, that there are pros and cons since we've been in COVID. And I would say for myself as well, because I was the only one to give a testimony. I was not a social media person as much prior to COVID. And my husband here, he said, because since COVID, I have spent a lot more time, I find, on my phone, whether it's Facebook or it's WhatsApp, the WhatsApp groups. It's been a lot. And I mean, it can be that it's for positive things, but it takes up a lot of time. Because for church programming, WhatsApp groups, that's what you use a lot. Listening to a lot more podcasts. I mean, it may sound good, but these things do take up, you know, you're listening to Christian programming, but it takes up a lot of time. Or I'm in a prayer, a Bible study group, and that's another social media app that I use that they started. And yes, it's a good thing. It's a prayer group, but I spend so much time, like Sydney just said, checking it. Like I wake up in the morning and I have 15 notifications from this one group. And I'm thinking it's only 8 o'clock in the morning. And I already have 15 notifications. That's the first thing I see when I turn on my phone. Or the WhatsApp groups, whether it's someone with church or some group of someone we need to connect with, or a meeting that we have to have. So, you know, I would say I've used social media more, which I will say sometimes becomes distracting. I have young children, and that becomes distracting at times. You'll find my son will be saying to me, "Mommy, I'm speaking to you." And then I have to catch myself and realize, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry because I got caught up in a post. So I will say, yes, it has connected me with people and it has made it easier to connect to people, but it has also caused some distraction and has caused that I'm spending more time on the phone, because that's where a lot of it happens, than I am doing the things that are important. And then I'll find myself saying, oh, I didn't have enough time in the day to do this, but really, did I not have enough time, or was I spending more time checking notifications or responding to messages that people are sending me? And you know, at this time, I just thought if I could just, and it's just how many people we can say, how many of us we can say, just like Sydney or I can say that that's really where we have been, or where we are right now, that we see the good as well as you see the challenges with the social media and what's happening right now. And we're just going to take 2 minutes if anyone wants to chime in and share quickly. You can unmute yourself. Okay, I guess no one has the same experience or wants to share.
I will
I'll
share.
share, Kinda.
Okay, thank you, Fran. Go ahead, Fran.
Social media, it's a tricky thing that we have to really find a balance with. Like you said, the first thing I'll do sometimes is you pick up your phone and you see all your Instagram notifications and your Facebook notifications. You just start scrolling through, and one thing leads to another. And it also shows, but the enemy can be very subtle. Sometimes you want to log into Facebook to see that Facebook Live of a church service, but next thing you know, you're going through your stream and you're looking at everybody else's notifications and news feeds, and you get distracted. And like you said, I've experienced it too. I have young children where, it'd be like, mommy, but I'm on my phone. And as parents, we have to be very careful too, because it's the same thing that we're going to want our children to not do later on. We're going to wonder why it is that my teenager can't put their phone down or, pay attention to what's going on or can't focus on schoolwork, because we have to lead by example, right? And so I'm trying to be a little more aware of it. It's a challenge, especially because in this time we can't really get together and see people like we used to. But, it's something to pray about and really continue to work towards improving.
Anita, I know you said you would share. Thank you, Fran.
Yes, thank you. And as Pastor Liz says, I love the honesty too. And I think for me, social media, even though I work with children, youth, and families, I'm not a social media person. I'm not on Facebook and all that stuff, but I see the benefit and the essential usefulness of it. But even though I'm not on particular platforms, I have to work really hard with keeping up. When I think I'm up to date with all the different platforms and different social media platforms, I'm not. And I love working with young people because they will correct me and be like, Facebook, we're not on Facebook. You're old, you're on Facebook. That's not where we're at. And I'm like, okay, what do you guys use? So it really is for me to ask questions, because I don't know. It's not saying, well, it's that generation, that younger generation, that's their thing. It's for me to educate myself and to know for the benefit of my daughter. Nyla's going to eventually one day be on some sort of social media platform. I gotta be in the know. I think it's important as parents that we enter into conversations. And you might say, I tried to talk to my teen or my preteen or my young child about it, and they're not answering any of my questions. They want to talk to me. But then you know what? This is the time during this pandemic, I think a lot of us really got introduced to the internet. If you avoided it all your life before, you have a tablet now or you have a laptop and you're clicking on and you're logging into Zoom, we can search out information to still be knowledgeable, or ask someone else who does know, whether they're younger or older than you. We have to try to be a part of the conversation, even if it's like this, because a lot of it is, I'm not that old, but a lot of it does fly over my head, and I'll admit. But we still have to stay relevant and stay up to speed with what's going on, because where there are positives, we want to capitalize on that. And that's something I've had to learn when at the forefront of this whole movement of social media and the internet. I was just like, I'm old school. I like to pick up my phone to talk. Fine, I'll do some texting. I accept the talking and texting. Nope, I'm not gonna join this and join that. And yeah, I'm all over WhatsApp as well, Kinda. So yeah, we have to make an effort to do it, but it's hard. It's not easy. So yeah, I love that. This is why we're here at AY talking about relevant things that matter to all of us, especially during this time of the pandemic. And thank God for technology, the wisdom he's given men and women in the science and tech fields to create these vehicles that can be great tools for ministry as well. Anybody else want to share
So I was going to ask, thank you so much, Danita. And one thing with what Danita's saying that I would say has been hard. I purposely do not join certain platforms, but I also know there seems to be a lot of pressure sometimes because you're like, well, someone's like, oh, this is where you can find this. And, but I know Instagram is one of those that I'm like, I refuse because I know if I do, I'm leading myself down a rabbit hole that I don't want to get into. So, but you have to be you follow and you know it, but you also have to be, like Fran said, you have to also be very careful and know and find a balance between the two. So at this time, Danita, if you don't mind, I was just thinking we can end this part and let us go into the special music.
So you're not going to be speaking.
They are the best and the worst you created, loving and hating and opinionated, loners in basement and those congregated. Deliver me. Far from the peaceful shore I was sinking, deep in the ocean of thoughts they were thinking. Don't know what validation I was seeking. Deliver me from people. You said you could heal me from anything. Did you mean people? Deliver me. 'Cause I can't point them out, I won't say their name. I don't know the damage or which one to blame. It's just people. Deliver me. She was the reason I smiled in the morning. He took the last bit of joy I was storing. That's too much power for anything human. Deliver me from people. I know you can heal me from anything. What about people? Deliver me. 'Cause I can't point them out, I won't say the names. I don't know the damage or which one to blame. It's just people. Deliver me. All are hurting, the broken are breaking. The ones who have their joy taken away are out here taking from other people. Forgive these people. Crazy people. Self-righteous people. Hating people. Forgive me when I'm one of those people. Deliver me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chanel, for that wonderful message and song that is tied so well to our topic today about social media and the impact it has on ourselves and our families. Because what's behind social media, it's people. The social media aspect and the platform, that's the technology, but what keeps it going and growing is those of us who engage in social media. And so we're so glad to have Pastor Elizabeth Poulet join us this afternoon again. I don't know if I can see everybody, but those who I can see, raise your hand or give a thumbs up if you've been enjoying our Family Life Weekend. All right, I see some of you, and those of you who can't see you, I'm sure your thumbs up and waving hands behind your screen there. And so again, we get to hear from Pastor Liz. She's going to inform us. She's going to make us think. She's going to invite us to engage. We definitely want to hear if you have any questions. We'll have a Q&A after the presentation. So you can go ahead even now and when she's talking to put your questions in the chat. If you know how to use the chat feature, just look where it says chat, little talk bubble, and then you can write your question to everyone, for everyone to read it. We'll still read it out at the end. If you don't want your name to be associated with the question, then you can send the question directly to Lori T. Just look for Lori, last name T. And Lori's going to be helping me. She'll read out questions when it's the Q&A time. For those on YouTube, you'll definitely get to see and enjoy the presentation, but we will end the YouTube live portion when we get to the Q&A. So if you want to jump on Zoom so you can be a part of that conversation, please feel free to do so. So without further ado, I am going to turn everything over to Pastor Liz.
Thank you so much, Danita and team.
One thing I do want to say, Liz, sorry to cut you. I just want to let people know that Liz is going to talk about some resources as it relates to social media. And I just want to say this because some people on YouTube might want to know, as the Family Ministries Department at Malton Seventh-day Adventist Church, we can be a resource in many different ways. And so even for tonight's topic, talking about how do we deal with social media in our lives, how it impacts our marriages, our relationship with others, our relationship with our kids and our youth, or how you've been impacted by people's discussions or comments or communication on social media. Please feel free. There's no topic that's off limit to anybody on our team. Our team's always willing to assist. No, we're not all counselors to provide counseling, but we could definitely provide resources if you're looking for that, or you just need a listening ear, or if you want us to support in some other way, we're open for that type of feedback. So we'll also put the email again for Family Ministries Department. That email comes to me and I will definitely respond back if you have a question, comment, or feedback. Sorry about that, Liz. Now you can take it over.
No worries. Thank you so much, Danita. I love that you're just opening yourself and your team up for anyone that has questions or you need someone to talk to. That's amazing. So friends, here we are again. We promise we won't take up too much of your time, but let's talk about social media. I love what Sydney said, and Fran and Danita and, oh, her face is gone, the other lady, because it was so honest. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the social media, the good, bad, the ugly. I am going to share my screen with you and we're just going to jump into this, friends. Can you see it? Can anyone see that? Can someone say yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. I don't know what happened to my screen, but let's see here. Okay. I don't know what happened to my screen, but I can't see anybody anymore, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about social media and the family. Now, in 2016, they found that 61% of people check their social media on their phone 5 minutes after waking up. And this number goes up to 88% of those of us who check their phone within 30 minutes of waking up. And then 96% of us check our social media within an hour. Now, friends, let's be honest here. I actually can't see anybody at the moment, but how many of us check our phones within 5 minutes of waking up, or 30 minutes, or an hour? I mean, I know I do, because that's where my alarm is. But you know, it's really easy to just press that app of social media, whether it's Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. It is very easy. So we can see this trend of us, you know, really checking our either our email or our social media as soon as we wake up. It's a very interesting dynamic. So what about the time that we spent on social media in a lifetime? Now you see on this graphic that if we, you know, totaled the time that we spend on social media, it would equal 5 years and 4 months of our entire lifetime. A year and 7 months is spent on Facebook. A year and 10 months is spent on YouTube. 18 days would be spent on Twitter. 8 months would be spent on Instagram, and a year and 2 months would be spent on Snapchat. Now, obviously, this data comes at an average median age, because we know that, you know, there aren't a lot of younger people on Facebook, and there aren't a lot of older individuals maybe on Snapchat, right? So there is a median age here with this data, but the outcome is the same. We are basically spending a lot of our lives on social media. And this was before COVID, this data came in. So obviously it has changed significantly since we've been in this pandemic. And, you know, when you think of social media ranked with other daily activities, how many of us still watch TV? I don't know. I don't know if anyone wants to put their hand up, but I find that people are moving away from TV and just doing a lot of the subscription things like Disney Plus or Amazon Prime, Netflix. But, you know, we spend a lot of time on TV, about 7 years. And the next thing that comes after that is social media. So we actually spend more time on social media than we do eating or drinking. Can you believe that? We spend more time on social media more than grooming ourselves. So I guess, you know, if you don't take a long time to comb your hair and brush your teeth, right, it falls underneath the time that we spend on social media. So I think in 2018, Media Smarts did a survey of over 5,000 Canadian students, and 99% of all students had access to the internet outside of school. So that's pretty much all of the young people, right? 39% sleep with their cell phone because it's the alarm clock, as we know. YouTube, for our young people, is the top site visited, followed by Facebook and Google. I believe that's changed. It is definitely not Facebook. 48% of students have lied about their age in order to join social networks, right? You know, we see little kids that have Instagram accounts and Snapchat accounts. And 90% of our Canadian students don't believe that they are in any danger when putting personal info online. Imagine that. So interesting stats about some of our Canadian students. I want to show you a picture. So this is a tally, a high school teacher, 4th period. Every single time one of his students got a notification, ding, he would put a tally. So for Facebook, Snapchat, email, text messages, phone calls, Instagram, other Twitter, and GroupMe or Discord. So every single time he heard a ding, he would tally. And so this is the tally that you're looking at. And within a 55-minute period class, this is a collective tally of what the students were receiving from social media. 55 minutes. But let's think for a moment, what about us as adults? Now, I don't know the lady's name, but she was sharing that she's finding herself more on WhatsApp since, COVID hit and we're all kind of on our phones a lot. We are just as addicted to social media as some of the young people are, right? We are on our phones a lot, especially if we have notifications on. And the impact of social media on our families have been researched, and there are positives and negatives, just like everyone that was sharing mentioned. And psychologists are increasingly concerned that technology is breaking down family communication. Because maybe back in the day, we used to yell like, dinner's ready, come downstairs, get that, pick up the laundry. But now sometimes we just text. And I know I've done that before. I'll be upstairs and I'll text Orlando and he's downstairs instead of just coming downstairs and talking to him like a normal human being, because it's convenient. But, over time, we tend to lose that personal socialization and that personal communication, and we opt for the cell phone. Okay. But it can really rob our families of authentic communication. And that's something that we really have to be cognizant of, especially during COVID, when we're working from home. Some of us are still on virtual school. So we're on screens a lot. We're worshiping on screens. And so if we don't build into our families time for one-on-one, face-to-face, authentic communication and socialization, it can really take over our lives and our families. So I want to share this book cover with you. Sherry Turkle wrote this book, Alone Together. And it is an honest look at how parents and children or families are dealing with the rise of technology. And the results were really stunning. In this book, many children reported that they felt their parents were addicted to their phone or computer. These are the kids saying this now. Children stated a desire for their parents to spend quality time and interact with them. And I think some of you mentioned that, we're on our phone, we're doing something, and our kid is there saying, hey, mom, mom, mom. And we're just like, ooh, wait, I need to send this email, or I need to check this thing or respond to that person. And we miss out on this bid for connection with one of our children or one of our spouse or a family member. And so we kind of are isolating ourselves, but we're all together under one roof. Now, alternatively, we know that technology can keep us connected as a family. We are now able to, FaceTime family members that are miles away. Before Orlando's dad passed, we used to have Zoom worships with them in New Zealand, and Orlando's other brother from Australia used to Zoom in. And so there we are, like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, having worship with mom and dad. And that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have technology. What we're doing right now wouldn't be possible without technology. And so we know that technology isn't all bad. We know that great things can happen on social media. And so I think it's important for us just to place some boundaries around that. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, the top social media sites visited by Canadians, now this is probably old information, pre-COVID times, but Facebook for the average age was 71%. Like, people are on Facebook. I don't know, is there anyone here that has a Facebook account? Just put your hand up, or you can tell us in the chat. Or do you go on that regularly? And is it to, talk to friends, keep up with your family? Is it more educational? Are you looking at programs? Like, what do you use Facebook for? The second most visited site is YouTube. I mean, YouTube, everything. You want to know how to unclog your toilet? Go on YouTube. If you want to know how to make a hoverboard, go on YouTube. A friend of mine gave us their crested gecko, which is like a lizard. And there were a lot of things that we didn't know about this lizard. So what do? We go on YouTube. YouTube is like this wealth of knowledge among other things, right? So everybody is on YouTube. We are on YouTube right now. Then there's Twitter and Pinterest and Google and Instagram and LinkedIn, Snapchat, Tumblr, Reddit. So many options. It's like a blur. So many things available to us. You know, parents are more involved on their phones because of work and maybe personal things. And too often, you know, when we find that we're working from home, a lot of couples can feel that work or the computer or the phone interferes in their relationship with their spouse or how, you know, they're parenting their children. And I think this is something that we really need to pay attention to. Now, when we talk about pornography, we know that there has been an increased I guess, statistic or use of pornography during the pandemic. And we need to have these conversations with our families, with our young people, with our children, because there are pornographic images in our cartoons, even on YouTube, on some children's channels. They sneak in there, they put all kinds of things. Even when you do a search on Google that seems seemingly innocent, weird things can pop up. And so if we just, you know, plop our kids in front of a screen and say, do your homework or search for that, and we're not there, very easily can they come across pornography without even looking for it. And so I would encourage parents to have these conversations. And I'll share a resource with you at the end. It's called Protect Young Minds. And it is one of the best website resources for pornography and our young children and how to keep them safe, educated, and informed. Like, do not gloss over this topic and say, oh no, that's too uncomfortable. I don't want to talk to my kids about that. Don't think that it wouldn't happen to your family because a lot of lives can really be ruined because of pornography. A lot of relationships can be ruined because of pornography. And so have these conversations. And if you feel that maybe you're in the thick of this right now, either with your spouse, your children, or a family member, you know, help is available. Do not go at this alone. Help is available. Send me an email. I will send the information to you. And I'll give you some resources at the end of this presentation as well. You know, there's so much shame associated with pornography or getting caught. Or maybe you've caught like your children looking at it. And I would just encourage you to not shame your children, but to have a deep and honest conversation about what we can do to kind of help you get over this. This is not just your problem and that's disgusting and why would you do that? But what can I do as a parent? What can we do together as a family to end this? So please, parents, families, have these conversations with your children and with your spouse. So another kind of, I guess, bad consequence of social media, and Sydney mentioned it, about how it affects how we feel about ourselves. And I typed into Google, how do I get more? And do you know how Google kind of fills in the top searches? So if you type in, how do I get more L, look what comes up. How do I get more likes on Instagram? How do I get more likes on Tinder? How do I get more likes on my Facebook business page? You know, there are actually accounts that you can buy likes or followers just to amp up your status on your Instagram account. And this is a very real dynamic. And while there's a lot of power in social media, we really need to learn how to harness that power for good instead of letting it like overtake us. Like what Fran mentioned, you know, she said, having a balance. When you're on Instagram or on Snapchat and you post something, you know, you're putting it out there and someone likes it or comments on it, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, and it's a feel-good thing. Like it's a feel-good reaction, like, yeah, I am affirmed. And it feels nice that people like my photo. But that hit of dopamine is actually the same chemical that's released in your brain if you were gambling and you won, right? And so it's like, oh, it's like that really good thing. And if you've ever tried to go to a casino, if you're 6 years old, you can't go in the casino. If you're 11, you can't go in the casino. You need to be in the age of majority to get into a casino. And there are age limits around gambling, but there are very few age limits around social media. And sometimes parents, we don't pay attention, and we kind of let the little ones take our phone or have the social media account without being monitored. And they get the hits of dopamine as they continue to post things without boundaries and without monitoring. And it can really mess with our heads. It really can. And a couple of years ago, we talk about online bullying, which is a very real dynamic. And I'm 43 years old. And a couple of years ago, an individual started to bully me online. And I didn't have a public Instagram account. I don't even think I had a public Facebook account. And this individual just bullied me online, like just sent tons and tons of messages, really long messages all over my social media accounts. And I'm an adult, I'm a grown woman. And this stuff was like, it was disturbing to me. And all I could think was, what if I was 14? And this individual was like hammering at me about all these and how horrible I was and et cetera, et cetera. What if I was 9? Would I be able to manage this? And you hear these stories about young people who die by suicide because they have been bullied online. So we really need to be so aware of if our young people are online. I think we just need to monitor it, put boundaries around that, pay attention to the age limits, pay attention to what they're like after they get off online. Are we noticing that they seem really low after they've been on Snapchat? Do we notice that every time they're on Twitter that they're really agitated? We really need to check in instead of blindly letting them all over social media without boundaries or monitoring. Dove Self-Esteem Project came out with this really beautiful initiative to reaffirm girls specifically in social media. And you just look at this graphic for a second. Likes up, body image down. The social media like chasing generation. This is amazing to me. It says 1 in 4 girls, if you look at the bottom left, have deleted a photo if it did not get enough likes. So maybe they posted something about themselves. Maybe they thought, I look really cute in this outfit, I'm going to post it. But 7 people liked it. Instead of before, maybe they got 100 likes. So they're going to throw it in the garbage because they did not get enough affirmation from other people. Girls with low body confidence are 3 times more likely to say social networks can make them feel worse about their appearance. So I got issues, and now I'm on social media. I'm 3 times more likely to make other people's highlight reels make me feel bad about myself. So there is a real science and dynamic about how social media can negatively affect us, right? So I think we just really need to be aware of this. Teens who report being bullied say it was because of their appearance, 61%. And we talked about this a little bit last night. Social media is the highlight reel of life. It is not the grungy, I just woke up with sleep in my eye, dirty teeth, breath pictures. No, it is the polished, the filtered, the wonderful. So teens get report bullying because of their appearance, because of academic achievement or intelligence. Maybe you didn't get the certificate or the award. They get bullied because of race, their sexuality, their financial status, and their religion. So a lot of options here for our young people to get bullied. And you know, it isn't just teens. It's also our little ones. And it's also adults. It doesn't go away just because you're in your 40s or your 30s. I'm going to share this video with you. Just take a look. How do I play it?
Dad, camera, put it down. You cannot take a picture with the top of your head. Dad, that's not helping. Can you slow that down? No, can you not wait 5 minutes?
Oh, hey, if you're going in there, you're gonna want that. Love you.
All right, take the picture there. Look as pitiful as you can.
Oh my God, Mom, this is embarrassing.
Take the shot. If
This
you're
is
first in the
embarrassing.
picture, just do
It's
it. Don't
hot.
worry about that.
It is hot.
Babe, please.
Pizza.
We're not having pizza. I'll give you ice cream and pizza.
It doesn't matter.
Well, you don't even know.
It didn't taste bad. Well, it doesn't taste good.
Molly, clean the house down.
Thank you, Kayla.
Well, we want pizza.
Well, we're not having pizza.
Why? Well,
So my friends, I mean, you saw in the video, like your Facebook life versus your real life. What we show people on the outside, I mean, is it a real representation of what's our realities are at home? So I think some of the things that we can do as families is to talk to our kids about technology. Technology is not bad, right? We need to just remind them that our brain is vulnerable. And so we really need to pay attention what we're putting in here and in here and in here. So if we're going to look at one thing all day long, it will affect us. If we're going to watch YouTubers all day long or certain websites, that lingo now becomes our lingo. If we're going to look at pretty models all day, we're going to look at ourselves differently. We're going to scrutinize our bodies. If we are going to watch porn, it will affect our intimacy with our partner. If we're not married, it will affect our future relationships. So our brain is vulnerable. We need to be careful what we put in here. Our mind needs moments of serenity. And I'm sure you've noticed this since we've been in the pandemic and everything that we do is online. Like we are zoomed out. We really are. So we have to intentionally build into our day. No, we call it screen detox at home. And there are things that we can do. We just have to be intentional about it. We have had this 1,000-piece puzzle on my bedroom floor for the last month. And every day I force the kids, which they probably hate it, but whatever. I force the kids to help me find 10 pieces of the 1,000-piece puzzle. And we call it our screen detox time. that way we kind of just do something else with our brain. Go for the walks, get outside, do the exercise, make puzzles, sing karaoke, play ping pong, whatever it is. We need no screen time. Play smart. This is talking about video games. We really need to guard our heart. Look at the ratings for video games on the covers, and if you're playing games online, know if you're playing with the general public, which is really common, you could meet people that you do not want to meet. Sleep is also really important. We can't be on our phones all night long. Like, it's just not healthy, right? And face-to-face interaction is best. Like I said, this was from pre-COVID times. And so let's put in there face-to-face, physically distanced interaction is best if you have access to it. Okay. So what do we do? What do we do now? Friends, we just need to be informed. We really do. And I think technology is always changing. And we really need to be up on what is happening, because, Snapchat is here one day, it's going to be gone soon, and something else is going to come in. It goes very, very quickly. And, there are apps that our young people can download. So, parents don't see what they're actually doing on their cell phones. There's tons of those tricks all over the place. Have family contracts. If social media is here to stay. And so what if we talk about it as a family and say, you know what, I don't mind if you have this certain app or if you're on this type of social media, but we need to have boundaries around it. We cannot just give it blindly. It's just not responsible. We need to take social media seriously because it can be very powerful. And we need to harness that power of social media for good, because cool things can happen online for the gospel and also for your family. And so when we talk about that a little bit, people are Googling for God. Does anyone want to take a guess at what the 2 most common searches on Google are? I don't know if you want to put it in the chats. What do you think the 2 most common searches on Google are? I actually can't see anyone, or I can't actually get on the chat either. So if you have guesses, if you want to unmute yourself, tell us what you think the 2 most common searches are in Google are for.
Someone in the chat wrote, what happens when we die?
Okay. Any other guesses?
Where is God?
Okay. So the 2 most common Google searches are about God. So like the individual said, what happens when we die? Where is God? Is God real? The 2nd most common search is for pornography. And you can see right there the great controversy. So we know that people are Googling for God, but we also know that there's this huge temptation to Google other things. And so each year there are millions of people who are actually searching for information about God. This is so cool. You don't know if people are going to search services about God near me and Malton shows up. And, a couple of years ago, I was at Malton for a women's, I don't know if some of you remember this, but I was at Malton for a women's ministry weekend, and a girl showed up and she had bright pink hair. I don't know if you remember this, but she actually Googled women retreat and Malton came up, and she showed up at your church. Her name is Christina. And it was because she Googled for God. We don't know, there's so much power in social media. And we know that this is a huge opportunity for communities, for churches, for individuals to really spread the gospel. 30,000 people search church online every month. And what do they find? Now, this was pre-COVID, but back in the day, you would find maybe people watching a service in a building. But people are searching for answers, and they need more than a program to watch. They really do. And I use that example of Christina because when she came to Malton and she lives in High Park, she didn't necessarily need a program. What she was looking for was family. She really was looking for family. And it just so happened that, the woman that I brought with me to present with me, Jessie, which is our adopted daughter, Jessie became very close to her, and we still are in contact with Christina. But that's what people want. They are okay to come to your church or watch a program, but now they need a person. They need someone to become their uncle or their mom or their dad or their friend and stay in contact with them. And that is the power of social media. It's amazing what we can do. We need to become that gap for people because not everyone is willing to come to a church building. Some people aren't even ready to discuss what's going on in their hearts with someone else. But we need to be that voice that answers back and kind of stays in touch with them and opens the door for spiritual experience. 90% of surveyed people have used social media to communicate with a brand. 34.5% said they preferred social media to traditional channels like phone and email. Now remember, this generation that's coming up, millennials and the ones that come after and the ones that come after, this is all they know, right? Danita mentioned she likes the telephone. And back in the day, that's all we had. But now there's a whole generation of people that don't even know what a rotary phone is. It's all very much texting and social media. And so, this is 2016. So times are changing. And so let us really harness the power of social media for the gospel. It's amazing the things that we can do. There are 2.2 billion Facebook users. 42% of the world's population is on social media. And this is like a couple of years old. 77% of Americans are on social media. And so think about this. The Bible tells us to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And hey, listen, I'm going to be with you to the very end of the age. More and more people are jumping online, especially now because we have no choice. We need to just jump in there with them and do things strategically so we can be connected to literally the world. And if you're wondering how to do that, I'm not sure if you heard about this WWJ. It is a children's evangelism initiative with many different departments at the conference on how we can really use social media and our kids to share the gospel. And so we had a first training in February. Another one is coming up, I believe, in April. And so if you just jump onto the Ontario Conference website, there's more information there, but heaps of stuff. There are heaps of things that you can do. I'm going to share something with you. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. I'm going to share this with you. So from our departments, we have on YouTube a bunch of different workshop things that might be interesting to you, or think about how Malton can kind of create a presence online. We have something called Their Story, which is where we just talk to families like you did in your morning service today. with the kids and the mom and the dad sharing basically how they're experiencing life at the moment. We also have parenting episodes, awesome workshop that we did for single adults and how they can learn more about themselves and what that means in their relationship with God. There's a marriage retreat, there's mental health workshops, there's stuff for men, there's things for women. We can use social media in a really, really powerful way. And so I think it's just determining what we are going to do as a church and say, hey, listen, this is something that our young people need, or this is something that our community needs, and this is how we're going to do it. I just want to share some resources with you, and you can go ahead and take a screenshot of that if you like. Ontario Connect, which is our website for family, singles, men and women. And some of these are the same that I shared yesterday, but this one right here, Protect Young Minds. Friends, if you have little kids, please go on this website and stay informed. It is so good. This one right here, I talk about it all the time, gorgeoustogod.org. This is a website for young women who have questions. And it is run by the North American Division Women's Ministries Department, and young women can submit any question they want and anonymously, and a mentor will prayerfully respond to them in an email. It's a great blog, they've got articles, and you can actually see a list of questions that have been submitted in the past. And it's questions about everything that is on the hearts and our minds of young women is on that website. It's an amazing website. Child Mind, Media Smart, Empowering Parents, Teen Safe, Pew Research, just really good resources to stay informed. And this book I actually wanted to share. It's called American Girls by Nancy Jo Sales, Social Media and the Secret Life of Teenagers. This is one of the best books I have ever read about social media. I know it says American girls, but it definitely applies to Canadian girls. And it's just a good way to get an understanding of, the mental health effects of what social media can do to young girls. Just like we talked about a little bit earlier when it came to self-esteem and value and worth. If you have any other questions, again, this is my email and Orlando's email. Please give us an email, or if you need my phone number, I can share that with you too. The other thing I didn't put on here is we have something called the Counseling Initiative, which is for men and women and families. It's a therapy subsidy for individuals who need therapy, but maybe they don't have the health insurance for it, or maybe just having financial challenges right now. And we have a partnership with some Adventist therapists. And what we will do is we will pay for 50% of the therapy costs for the first 3 sessions. And if you still feel like 50% is too much, please get in contact with me. We will work something out with you because it's so important. If you need professional therapy as support for whatever it is that you're going through, we want to be able to partner with you so you can get that. So we have a listing. If you would like the listing, please send me an email and I will get that to you. And so it's question time. If anyone has any questions, I know again, we just threw heaps of information at you, but if anyone has any questions, I'm sure Danita will answer them all.
With your support and the support of many people who are online and have a lot of knowledge as well. So this is question time, but also any comments. We'll welcome any comments in regards to Pastor Liz's presentation. And for those of you who are on YouTube, like I said, you're free to join us on Zoom if you want to be a part of the Q&A. And those of you who are on Zoom, again, if you don't want a question associated with your name, you can send it directly in the chat to Lori T, Lori, and T for the first initial of her last name, and she'll read them out. If you don't want to use the chat or don't know how, that's okay. I'm going to stop talking and leave some time